Hey folks, and welcome to our latest series, The Enneagram and Wings. Before I go any further, let me introduce the host of the show, Ian Cron. Ian, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. As you can see, I've just been out in the garden. I'm wearing my gardening hat. We are growing all manner of vegetables. We are very healthy this summer.
You have the box gardens going on.
I got the box gardens going on. Yeah, we've got 6 of them.
Nice. And I see you have your cravats.
It's not a cravat. It's a bandana. It is not a cravat. It is a bandana. It is what I use when I am masking,
I'm with you. We're being responsible.
Good citizens.
We want to encourage everyone to be
Absolutely.
responsible out there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yes, go ahead.
No, I'm just so impressed today that your background looks so good, considering that for the last several shows, it looked like you were transmitting from prison, like it was a prison ministry.
Yeah, I've got a little something happening back here. Maybe we can get into this as we move through our series. I'll pull one record, one album per series. Today, Jay-Z, the Black Album, celebrating on the turntable. There you go. So we'll introduce one great record every series. So
perfect.
Yes, and for those of you watching, Ian is moving, and so there's going to be maybe even a little noise in the background. So
that's right. We're moving from Franklin to Nashville, and so there are some HVAC people and some structural engineers and realtors. So if you see somebody in the background walking around, you'll know that they are here on official business.
So, Ian, I'm super excited. We receive a lot of questions from our listeners about wings. People are always talking about wings, but there's a lot of confusion around wings. And even though we touch on it sometimes in different episodes, there's so much more to wings than people realize.
Yeah, what's your favorite wing place in town? When you're looking for hot wings, where do you go?
Oh, man, Thunderbird. Yeah, my buddy Trey Scarborough, Thunderbird Wings. #1 wings in Nashville. I didn't miss a beat. I messed you up. Shout out to Trace and Thunderbird.
Man,
go get those wings.
Yes, we're talking about Enneagram wing.
Yes, Enneagram wings.
And there are so much more to wings than people realize, which is true because people often think that wings only add a layer of clarity about their type when really there's so much more. So why don't I start with a brief overview of what wings are and why they're important. Then we'll break down how wings profoundly change each Enneagram type and how they can become resources for us, not just descriptors, but resources for us.
Love it. Let's do it.
Okay. So if you look at the Enneagram diagram, you'll see that each number has a dynamic relationship with 4 other numbers. Now, 2 of those are stress and security numbers. We're not talking about those, right? We're only talking about the other 2 numbers that are adjacent to your dominant type. One of those is called your dominant wing. Either one or the other is your dominant wing. So if you are a 4 on the Enneagram, you can only have a 5 or a 3 wing. One of those will be dominant, okay? Mm-hmm. But you can't have a 7 wing or a 6 wing. Like sometimes I'll go to workshops and people who are new to the Enneagram will say something to me like, oh, I think I'm a 2 with a 9 and a 5 wing. Right. And I'm like, I think that's the scramblegram. I don't think that's the Enneagram. That's totally not how it works. It has to be one of the 2 numbers adjacent to yours, okay?
Okay, so yes, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that they're resources for us. They give us access to the traits, or what I like to say is the juice, the flavor of the wings traits and characteristics. So while your motivation, your unconscious motivation, and your number are never going to change, sometimes your behavior can be so influenced by these other numbers that you can even look like one of them from time to time.
Yeah.
Now, so all to say, there's no such thing as pure personality.
Right.
Okay. We're a mash of at least two types, your dominant type and your dominant wing. So, no other numbers on the Enneagram, as I said earlier, can be your wings other than the two on either side of your dominant type.
Great. So let's talk about some of the reasons it's so important to know what your wings are.
Yeah, so wings are important because they reveal a whole different side of your personality. And, this is key, they can explain contradictory elements within your personality, right? And it can explain why people who share the same type can look very, very different from each other. Like a 4 with a 3 wing looks pretty much nothing like a 4 with a 5 wing.
I love this. Yeah.
Yeah. So and again, we're going to get into this. They aren't just, added ways of understanding statically your type. They're resources to us.
I think this is going to provide a lot of definition for people, even probably help people nail their number if they've been kind of floating a little bit. So can you give us some examples of what you're talking about? Yeah.
So to your point, wings have gradations, right? They come in proportions, right? So your core type will always dominate. But if your wing is so strong that it competes with your core personality type, right? We call that a heavy wing. Okay, a heavy wing. And if it competes with your core personality type because it's so heavy, it can make it difficult to discern your type because your core number and your wing exert nearly equal influence on your type.
Right.
Right? So I'm a 4 with a very strong 3 wing. So sometimes some days I feel like, gosh, am I a 3? You know what I mean? Because that wing is so heavy. And they can come in moderate and light wing gradations as well. But that has other implications. Maybe we can get into it at some other point.
Yeah. So let's take some time and look at each of the types and how they look different depending upon their dominant wing. And maybe let's start with the gut triad. Like, what does it look like for when the wings influence the Enneagram 8? Let's start with 8s here.
Great. So if you're a challenger at 8, you can have one of two wings, right? A 7 or a 9. All right. So 8s with a 7 wing are outgoing. They're energetic. They're fun. They kind of reflect the 7's sunny personality. You know what I mean? They're also ambitious, impulsive, and notoriously reckless. Right. When you get that 8 and 7 energy together, it's sparkly. You know. Yeah. These 8s live life to the fullest. They're the most energetic of all numbers on the Enneagram and the most entrepreneurial, right? So do you see how the 8 is sucking up some of the 7's flavor there, right? Yeah, 7s are the great entrepreneurs. That 7 energy masks the more wary 8. So they're more social and more gregarious than other 8s. Now,
and again, we're talking about the dominant wing, right? We're talking about dominant
wings. We're talking about your dominant wing. So if you're an 8 with a 7 wing, I just described you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you are an 8 with a dominant 9 wing, you have a much more measured approach to life, right? These folks are far more approachable, more open to cooperation over competition. And in keeping with that 9's tendency to play a peacemaking role, they can be good mediators, right? So these are not ordinary 8s. They can be very conciliatory. They're supportive. They're more modest and less blustery, and other people are very happy to follow their lead. And when the 9's gift of seeing both sides of everything is available to the 8, right? That 8 with a 9 wing can become a successful negotiator in situations of all kinds.
I love this. I love you see how different an 8 with a 7 and an 8 with a 9 are going to be, right? Their personalities.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So they're very, very different. Now, let me tell you that a little bit about the resource side of this thing.
Okay.
With the Enneagram, it's not just a static description of two types. 8 with 9, 8 with 7. That's very helpful. But you can make an intentional choice, a conscious choice, to lean in to one wing or the other, given what the demands of the moment are. Like when I'm walking onto a big stage, or even right now, I'm leaning hard into 3. Okay? I'm not leaning into my 5 side. I'm really leaning into 3. I'm being more outgoing. I'm being more, trying at least to be more entertaining, charismatic, if that's possible. You know what I'm saying? Now, when I'm writing a book, I make a very conscious, intentional decision to lean hard into my 5 wing, where I'm okay in solitude. I'm okay doing a lot of studying. I get excited about it, learning, spending lots of time at the computer, researching. So you can make an intentional decision which wing you're going to access traits from. Now, it's going to be easier from your dominant wing.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you don't have access to the resources of the other wing.
Love this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So regardless of where you're dominant, you can actually access that other wing when you need it, and you can develop that part of your personality.
Yeah, you can. And oftentimes people say in the second half of life, that becomes easier and easier, and that even sometimes people migrate to having a different dominant wing in the second half of life, right?
I think we've both had that experience, you and I.
Yes, I've definitely gotten to be more of a 4 with a 5, and as a younger man, very strong 4 with 3.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for this episode, Ian, and we hope that you all have enjoyed it and look forward to the next episode in this series. See ya.
You too, man.